Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 of the best things to make in your Instant Pot. Hi, I'm Karen Peterson. Thanks so much for joining me today on my YouTube channel where I share Instant Pot stuff with you every week. You can also find me over on my website, 365daysofcrockpot.com, where I do Instant Pot and slow cooker recipes for every day of the year. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 things that I love to make in my Instant Pot. If you haven't already, check out my other video, 10 of the best things to make in the Instant Pot. Hopefully this will be helpful to you if you're just starting off using your Instant Pot, and even if you're not just starting off, there is so much you can learn. I hope you like this video and leave me a comment letting me know what other things that you love to make in your Instant Pot. Please subscribe to my channel as well. All right, let's get on to 5 of the best things that you can make in your Instant Pot. Number 1, caramelized onions. Okay, I have 2 onions here. You can use way more than that, but I'm just going to use 2 for today. And we're going to just chop the ends off the onions. And then kind of layer, get that first layer of onion off. I always like to cook with a bowl in front of me, like this little yellow bowl I have here, just to put all the garbage in it, and then that way I don't have to keep running back and forth from the garbage. Now I'm cutting the onions into pretty thick slices there, probably 1/2 inch chunks, and then I'll do the same thing with the second onion. Once you have your onion cut up, turn your Instant Pot to the saute setting, and it's on more, and once the display says hot, you can add in a tablespoon of butter. So kind of swirl that around so that it melts. Add the onions into the pot and coat them with that butter. Stir them up real good. Then add in a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and finally a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. The baking soda is just helping with the browning process, the caramelization process. Once the onions kind of are starting to give off of a little bit of liquid, then we're going to cover the pot and pressure cook. Now you notice there's no liquid in this recipe. And that is because the onions are going to give off so much liquid that they themselves bring the pot to pressure. So it's kind of a unique recipe. Usually you would not do that. You would not ever cook without liquid, but because the onions have so much liquid in them, it is fine for this. So click the lid into place, make sure the valve's set to sealing, and then set the manual button or pressure cook button to 8 minutes. Now once the 8 minutes is up, you can remove the lid after you vent all the steam out. And you'll notice that there is a ton of liquid now in the pot that we will strain out, and then our onions will be ready to eat. So I just get this mesh strainer, I put it over my garbage bowl, and then strain the onions, get any liquid out. And then those onions are so good over burgers, over chicken, on paninis, sandwiches, all sorts of things. These onions taste so good, and it was so easy using the Instant Pot. Number 2, quinoa. The first thing you want to do when making quinoa is to rinse it really well in a mesh strainer. Once it's rinsed for, 2 to 3 minutes under cold water, add it into the pot. Now I'm using 1 cup of quinoa and then 1.5 cups of water. So anytime you make quinoa, it's going to be this ratio, 1 cup to 1.5 cups of water. Then put your lid on, lock it into place, and then make sure the valve's set to sealing, and then set your pressure cook button or your manual button all the way down to 1 minute. So it's a very short cooking time, but then we're going to use a 10-minute natural pressure release. So after the time has counted up to 10 minutes, it has been sitting there on the warm setting for 10 minutes, We can remove any pressure that's still in the pot. And then once you can, remove the lid, and you will have perfectly cooked quinoa every single time. I love using this in the place of rice, to serve sauces, chicken, whatever with. It's perfect. Number 3, a whole chicken. So we're gonna start out with a whole chicken. Mine is 6 pounds. You're gonna wanna notice how many pounds your chicken is, because that's how we'll know how long to cook it for. So I've patted it dry with some paper towels, and I'm just gonna put on some gloves. If you don't have gloves, you can use just your clean hands, it's fine. Sometimes the chicken will have parts in the cavity, so just want to make sure to get anything out so you have. The cool thing about whole chickens is that you really can get a good deal on them. You can get them for just, you know, like $1 a pound. So you can get a whole chicken for like $6. Okay, I think I pretty much got it clear. Now I'm going to take a couple tablespoons of olive oil or melted butter, either one, just some sort of fat that's going to give it lots of flavor. I'm going to drizzle it, about half of it on this side. Use my gloves to kind of just massage it in, and then half of it on the other side. Okay. Now this will help the seasonings that I'm going to put on top of the chicken adhere better. And I have a mixture of rosemary, thyme, kosher salt, pepper that I'm just going to rub all over the chicken. Get it nice and seasoned. Flip it over. Now I'm going to pour in 1 cup of water or 1 cup of broth into the bottom of my Instant Pot. And then I'm going to throw a bay leaf in there too. Then I'm going to use a trivet. This is the one that came with my Instant Pot. Right in there. We'll put our chicken inside the pot. Now, hopefully it will fit. Sometimes if you get a really big chicken, they won't fit. So keep that in mind too. And you may need to use an 8-quart pot if you have one. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, here we go. If possible, do the breast side down. That way it will keep it more moist and tender. Cover the pot. Lock it into place. Make sure the valve is set to sealing and not to venting. And then I'm going to use the manual button right here. And I'm going to use the plus button to get it to 36 minutes. Now you want 6 minutes per pound. So since my chicken was exactly 6 pounds, I'm going to set it to 36 minutes because 6 times 6 is 36. So keep that in mind to determine how long you want to cook your chicken. After the cooking time was up, I let the pot sit for about 15 minutes, and then I moved the valve to venting. I removed the lid, and then I just like to check for doneness using this digital thermometer just to be on the safe side. And you want the middle of the chicken to be at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you can just carefully remove the chicken from the pot, and it is ready to cut and serve. Or you can put it under your oven's broiler to crisp up the skin before eating. Number 4, dried beans. The Instant Pot is the perfect tool to cook dried beans. You can cook any type of dried beans in your Instant Pot in a fraction of the time it would take on the stove. And today I'm going to be showing you how I do my quick soak method in the Instant Pot. Now, a lot of recipes will call for soaked beans. And I prefer the texture of soaked beans as well as the digestive issues that don't come as much with soaked beans. So what you do when you do the quick soak method is add your beans, 4 cups of water, and a teaspoon of salt into the Instant Pot. Then you bring it to a boil on the saute mode. Cancel off the saute mode once it's boiling, and press the time to 2 minutes on the manual or pressure cook button. Once the 2 minutes is up, you can do a quick release by moving the valve from sealing to venting and removing any remaining pressure. Take the lid off, and now you have beans that are quote unquote soaked and ready to use in any recipe that calls for soaked beans. Now, I like to strain mine and rinse them very well before using them. And that's what I've done with this colander. Here is a chart of many different types of beans that you can cook in your Instant Pot. And I've put the time for dried versus soaked beans. I prefer the soaked method, but that is totally up to you. Number 5, soups and chilies. There's so many great soups you can make in your Instant Pot, and today I'm going to show you how to make white chicken chili. We're going to use those beans that we soaked earlier, and we'll turn the Instant Pot to saute, and when it says hot, you can add in oil, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, swirl it around, and then add in that chopped up onion. I used 1 yellow onion. And we're sauteing that for about 4 to 5 minutes. Then add in 4 cups of water. Just scrape the bottom so there's nothing sticking. And then add in 4 teaspoons of Better Than Bouillon, the chicken base. If you don't want to use this, you can use 4 cups of chicken broth instead of the water and the chicken base. Then add in those beans that were pre-soaked. It was 1 pound that we soaked earlier. And 2 large chicken breasts. These are huge, so they're about 2 pounds total. And they are frozen, and that's completely fine to do that. Now we'll add in seasonings. I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 teaspoons of salt. And I just sprinkle that all right on top of those chicken breasts. Then we're going to cover the pot up and make sure the valve's set to sealing, of course. And then set your manual button or your pressure cook button to 22 minutes. Once the time is up, you'll let it sit for about 10 minutes and then remove any remaining pressure. You can take out those chicken breasts and put them on a cutting board. And then add in 1 can of Rotel, which is diced tomatoes with green chilies in it. Stir it up, turn it to saute, and add in a block of cream cheese that's been just sitting on the counter. It's nice and soft. And stir it in good until it gets creamy and smooth, and then add in 2 cups of half and half. Now we're going to add about half of that in, and then add in 6 tablespoons of flour with the rest of the half and half, and get a nice whisk, and whisk it until it's creamy and smooth. And this is going to serve as a thickener to thicken it. And don't add the flour in, the mixture in, until it is smooth, or else you'll have lots of lumps in your chili. So get it nice and smooth. And my half and half has actually been warmed up just so that it doesn't curdle when it gets added into that hot liquid in the pot. Stir it up really good, and now we're going to chop up our chicken. I like to use this chopping tool. It just makes it a lot easier, but you can just shred it with 2 forks, or you can cut it with a knife and a fork. Whatever you like to use is just fine. And the chicken really does get tender because it has been surrounded by liquid the entire cooking time, and so it turns out really nicely. And once that chicken's all chopped up, we're going to add it into the chili. And the chili should be simmering and cooking that flour. And once it's thick to your liking, it is ready to eat. So stir it up, and it should be getting nice and thick. Yum. This chili is to die for.